Far beyond the stars, where Earth floated peacefully in space, powerful alien eyes watched humanity with growing fear. The Valkyrie Empire had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years. Their advanced ships moved between worlds like shadows. Their weapons could destroy entire planets with ease. But now they faced something that worried them more than any enemy army. Humans were learning too. Fast High Commander Vexfer stood in his command center aboard the massive warship Void Crusher. His 6 arms moved across holographic displays, showing Earth and its growing military power. The reports made his alien heart beat faster with concern. In just 50 years, humans had gone from simple metal rockets to plasma weapons that could match Valkyrie technology. They must be stopped, Vexfer said to his officers. His voice carried the authority of someone who had conquered 100 worlds. If we wait longer, they will become too dangerous. The other Valkyrie commanders nodded their agreement. They had seen this pattern before with other young species. The smart ones were eliminated early. The weak ones were allowed to live as servants. Humans were definitely not weak. On the remote space station called Titan's Edge, Korean engineer Dong-soo worked late into the night. The station floated in the darkness between Mars and Jupiter, far from prying eyes. Here, humanity's best scientists worked on their most secret projects. Dong-soo rubbed his tired eyes and looked at the massive weapon taking shape in the testing. Bay. The Aurora Cannon was humanity's most advanced plasma weapon. It could fire concentrated energy beams that would make their enemies think twice about attacking Earth. Still working? Asked Nari as she entered the workshop. The brilliant physicist carried 2 cups of coffee, steam rising in the recycled air of the station. The calibration is almost perfect, Dong-soo replied, accepting the warm cup gratefully. Tomorrow we test it for the first time. Nari studied the weapon's curved design. It looked like a metal flower that could bloom with deadly light. Are you nervous? Every engineer gets nervous before a big test, Dong-soo admitted. But the calculations are solid. This weapon will protect Earth from any threat. Neither of them knew that alien eyes were already watching their every move. Kung-ho, the systems specialist, checked the computer networks one final time before going to sleep. His screens showed normal readings across all systems. The security programs he had written were running perfectly. Nothing could get through their defenses without him knowing. He was wrong. High above the station, invisible to human sensors, a Valkyrie stealth ship drifted like a ghost. Inside, alien technicians prepared their special weapon. Not a plasma cannon or explosive device, but something far more subtle and dangerous. A quantum virus. The virus was a masterpiece of Valkyrie programming. It would slip into the Aurora Cannon's computer systems like poison in water. Then, during the weapons test, it would cause the targeting systems to fail catastrophically. The weapon would destroy itself and take half the station with it. Humans would think their technology had reached its limits. They would become afraid to push further. The Valkyrie could then make contact as helpful elder brothers, offering to guide humanity's development along safer paths that would never threaten. Valkyrie Rule Security Chief Bjorm made her final rounds of the station. Her sharp eyes missed nothing as she checked each corridor and room. The station held 500 of Earth's best scientists and engineers. Keeping them safe was her most important job. She paused at a window showing the vast emptiness of space. Somewhere out there, Earth hung like a blue jewel. Her family lived there, along with billions of other humans who depended on places like Titan's Edge to keep them safe. Bjorm did not know that alien infiltrators had already bypassed every security system she had built. The Valkyrie moved through the station like whispers of wind. Their advanced cloaking technology made them invisible to human eyes and sensors. They had studied human technology for decades, learning every weakness and flaw. The infiltration team consisted of 3 specialists. Each carried equipment that could hack into human computers without leaving a trace. They moved through the station's corridors with the confidence of beings who had done this many times before. The first specialist, Kethmer, reached the main computer core. His alien fingers danced across interfaces that would have taken human programmers hours to understand. Within minutes, he had opened a pathway for the quantum virus. The second specialist, Vorthok, made his way to the Aurora Cannon's control systems. The weapon sat in its testing chamber like a sleeping giant. Soon it would wake up and destroy itself in the most spectacular way possible. The third specialist. Nalvex planted monitoring devices throughout the station. The Valkyrie wanted to watch the chaos that would follow their sabotage. They needed to make sure no humans survived who might figure out what really happened. Deep in the station's computer networks, quantum virus began its work. It was programmed to remain dormant until the weapon test began. Then it would activate and corrupt every targeting algorithm in the system. But the virus carried something the Valkyrie had not intended. Their own quantum programming contained advanced principles that human science had not yet discovered. In trying to sabotage human technology, they were accidentally sharing their most guarded secrets. Morning came to Titan's edge as the station's artificial sun slowly brightened. Scientists and engineers gathered in the observation deck, excited to see their creation in action. Months of hard work had led to this moment. Dongsu stood at the control station, his hands steady despite his racing heart. All systems show green, he announced. Beginning power-up sequence. The Aurora cannon hummed to life. Energy flowed through its crystalline core, building to tremendous levels. The weapon's metal petals began to glow with contained plasma fire. 30 seconds to firing, Nari called out from her monitoring station. In the depths of the computer system, the Valkyrie virus stirred. It began corrupting targeting files and safety protocols. The weapon's aim shifted from the distant asteroid target to the station itself. 10 seconds, Kung Ho announced, watching his displays with growing confusion. Wait, something's wrong with the targeting system. 5 seconds, BRM called out, her hand moving toward the emergency shutdown controls, but it was too late. The Aurora cannon fired. Instead of a controlled beam striking the distant asteroid, an unstable energy cascade erupted from the weapon. The plasma discharge tore through the testing chamber walls like paper. Explosions rocked the station as power systems overloaded and failed. 3 researchers died instantly in the blast. Dongsu was thrown against a wall, his body broken by flying debris. Emergency alarms screamed through the smoke and flames as half the station's testing section collapsed into twisted metal. In the chaos that followed, no one noticed the strange energy readings that Nari's instruments recorded. The weapon's malfunction had created quantum patterns that should not have existed according to any known physics. The Valkyrie watched from their hidden ship, satisfied with their work. The sabotage had succeeded perfectly. Humanity's most advanced weapon project lay in ruins. Fear would replace ambition in human hearts. They prepared to return home and report their success. But in the smoking ruins of the testing chamber, something unexpected had been born. The quantum virus had not simply destroyed the Aurora cannon. It had changed it, combining alien quantum principles with human engineering in ways neither species had imagined possible. The sabotage was complete. The real story was just beginning. 3 weeks had passed since the Aurora cannon disaster. The medical bay of Titan's Edge hummed quietly with the sound of healing machines. Dongsu lay in his hospital bed, his body wrapped in synthetic bandages that helped his broken bones mend faster. But his mind would not rest. Every night he dreamed of the explosion, the screaming metal, the flash of unstable energy that had torn through their careful work like an angry beast. 3 good people had died because of his weapon. The guilt ate at him worse than his physical pain. Nari visited him every day. She brought reports and data files, but mostly she came to make sure her friend did not give up hope. Today she carried something different, a small data pad that glowed with strange readings. You need to see this, she said quietly, making sure no one else could hear. The medical bay had ears everywhere. Their project was now under heavy investigation. Dongsu struggled to sit up in his bed. His ribs still ached, but curiosity was stronger than pain. What did you find? Nari activated the data pad, a screen filled with energy patterns that looked like frozen lightning. These readings came from the weapon during the explosion. I saved them before the investigation team could delete the files. Delete them? Why would they want to destroy evidence? Because these patterns should not exist, Nari whispered. According to everything we know about physics, this energy signature is impossible. Dongsu studied the swirling patterns on the screen. They looked almost alive, like mathematical creatures dancing through dimensions he could not understand. Equipment malfunction. That was my first thought too. But I checked every sensor 3 times. The readings are real. Nari leaned closer. Something happened during that explosion. Something that created new physics. Outside the medical bay, Security Chief Biorum walked the empty corridors of the damaged station. Half the testing section remained sealed off, while repair crews worked to clear the debris. The official investigation blamed the disaster on human error. Faulty programming. It's overconfident engineers pushing their technology too hard. Biorum did not believe it. She had spent 20 years protecting important people and places. Her instincts told her when something was wrong, and everything about this situation felt wrong. The explosion had been too convenient, too perfectly timed to destroy their most important project. In her security office, Biorum reviewed sensor data from the night before the test. Her computers could enhance images and detect patterns that human eyes might miss. She had been searching for 3 weeks without finding anything unusual. Tonight would be different. Deep in the station's computer core, something stirred. The quantum virus that the Valkyrie had planted was supposed to delete itself after completing its mission. But the explosion had damaged it, leaving fragments scattered through the system like broken glass. These fragments contained something precious. Pieces of alien code that showed how the Valkyrie manipulated quantum energy. Their programming used principles that human science had not yet discovered. Tay-Min, the cryptographer, found the first fragment by accident. He was helping repair the station's communication systems when his scanner detected an unusual data pattern. First he thought it was corrupted human code. Then he looked closer. "This is not our programming," he muttered to himself in the empty computer room. His fingers flew across the keyboard, trying to decode the strange symbols and mathematical functions. This is something else entirely. The code was elegant in ways that human programming was not. It flowed like water through quantum calculations that would take human computers hours to process. But more importantly, it revealed how the weapon had truly been destroyed. Tay-Min spent all night analyzing the code fragments. By morning, he had uncovered the truth. The Aurora cannon had been sabotaged. The explosion was not an accident. Someone with advanced knowledge had deliberately corrupted their targeting systems. Someone who was not human. Nadashari returned to Dongsu's bedside the next morning with even more disturbing news. "I found energy traces in the wreckage," she said, keeping her voice low. "Quantum signatures that match nothing in our databases." "What kind of signatures? The kind that suggest folded space-time?" "Someone was using cloaking technology far beyond anything humans have developed," Nari showed him new readings on her datapad. "Someone was watching us during the test." Dongsu felt a chill that had nothing to do with the medical bay's cool air. Aliens? It's the only explanation that makes sense. We are not alone in the galaxy, and whoever they are, they did not want us to succeed. Meanwhile, Biorum had made her own discovery. Enhanced sensor data revealed brief distortions in the air during the hours before the explosion. Shapes that looked almost like people, but bent light around them in impossible ways. "Cloaked infiltrators," she whispered, staring at the ghostly images on her screen. 3 figures had moved through the station like they owned it. They had accessed restricted areas without triggering a single alarm. Biorum immediately began checking the station's defensive systems. What she found made her stomach turn cold. Every security protocol had been bypassed with surgical precision. The intruders had known exactly where to look and how to disable each safeguard. They had studied human technology for a long time. In his computer room, Tay-Min continued decoding the alien virus fragments. Each piece revealed new secrets about quantum manipulation and space-time engineering. The aliens called themselves the Valkyrie, and their technology was centuries ahead of human science. But they had made a mistake. The virus was designed to corrupt human targeting systems using Valkyrie quantum principles. When the weapon exploded, those principles had mixed with human engineering in ways the aliens never intended. The disaster had created a hybrid technology that combined the best of both species. Tay-Min realized that the impossible energy patterns Nari had recorded were actually the birth of something new. Something that could revolutionize human technology if they could understand it properly. He needed to tell the others. That evening, the four friends met in secret in Dongsu's medical room. Nari brought her energy readings. Borim shared her evidence of alien infiltrators. Taemin revealed the decoded virus fragments that proved deliberate sabotage. So we are not alone, Dongsu said quietly. And our neighbors are not friendly. The Valkyrie see us as a threat, Taemin explained, showing them pieces of alien code. They have been sabotaging other species for thousands of years, keeping younger civilizations weak and controllable. But they made an error, Nari added excitedly. Their virus contained quantum programming that we can reverse engineer. We can learn from their technology. BOEM nodded grimly. They are still watching us. My sensors detected their ship in the area. They want to make sure their sabotage worked, and we let them think it did, Dongsu said, his engineer's mind already working on possibilities. Pretend the project failed completely while secretly working on something new, something better, Nari agreed. Something that combines their quantum principles with our engineering creativity. The four friends made a pact that night. They would not report their discoveries to the official investigation. Instead, they would work in secret to develop the hybrid technology that the alien sabotage had accidentally created. The Valkyrie had tried to destroy human ambition. Instead, they had given humanity the keys to unlocking quantum physics decades ahead of schedule. Over the following days, they began their secret work. Nari analyzed the impossible energy patterns, mapping how Valkyrie quantum principles interacted with human plasma technology. Taemin decoded more virus fragments, learning the mathematical foundations of alien space-time manipulation. BRM used her security access to create hidden workshops deep in the station's undamaged sections. She also established encrypted communication, channels that could not be monitored by either human authorities or alien watchers. Dong-Su, still recovering from his injuries, became the project coordinator. His experience with weapons engineering helped him understand how to combine the alien quantum principles with human, practical design. They called their secret project the Paradox Engine. The name came from Nari, who realized that their hybrid technology created paradoxes in normal physics, could manipulate energy and space-time in ways that should have been impossible. The alien sabotage had opened doors to new scientific realms. As the weeks passed, their understanding grew. The Valkyrie quantum virus had not just corrupted the Aurora cannon's targeting systems, it had forced human technology to interact with alien physics, creating quantum resonance patterns that neither species had achieved alone. The explosion had been violent and destructive, but it had also been the birth of something revolutionary. A technology that could change the balance of power in the galaxy. The Valkyrie continued watching from their hidden ship. Satisfied that their mission was complete, the human weapon project lay in ruins. Fear had replaced confidence in the survivors. When the time came for contact, humanity would be grateful for Valkyrie, guidance, and protection. They had no idea that their victims were already surpassing them in the secret workshops of Titan's Edge. 4 human friends worked to unlock the greatest discovery in their species' history. The alien sabotage that was meant to cripple humanity had instead accelerated their evolution by centuries. The Valkyrie had taught them that they were not alone in the galaxy. Soon the aliens would learn what that really meant. 6 months had passed since the Aurora cannon explosion. The official reports declared the project a complete failure. Earth's military leaders mourned the loss of their most advanced weapon and the brilliant scientists who died in the disaster. The investigation concluded that human technology had reached its natural limits. The Valkyrie High Command was pleased. High Commander That's stood in his ship's command center reviewing reports from across the galaxy. The human threat had been neutralized with typical Valkyrie efficiency. Soon, they would make contact with Earth's governments and offer their guidance to the primitive species. The humans have stopped all advanced weapons research, reported his intelligence officer. Their remaining scientists are working on simple defensive systems only. Perfect, Bexford replied. Fear is the best teacher. It will welcome our protection when we reveal ourselves. The alien commander had no idea that deep within Titan's edge, something extraordinary was taking shape. Dong-Su had recovered from his injuries, but he spent his days pretending to be a broken man. He shuffled through the station's corridors like someone who had lost all hope. His official duties involved cataloging the damaged equipment from the failed project, but his nights told a different story. In the hidden workshops that BORM had created, Dong-Su worked with focused intensity. The paradox engine was no longer just a theory. It was becoming real, piece by carefully crafted piece. The device looked nothing like the Aurora cannon. Where the old weapon had been large and obvious, the paradox engine was elegant and compact. Its core was a crystalline matrix that hummed with contained quantum energy. The alien principles that Taemin had decoded were woven into every component. The power output is incredible, Nari whispered as she monitored the engine's first test. This thing generates more energy than our entire station uses in a month. And that's just the beginning, Dong-Su replied. Watch what happens when I activate the space-time manipulation protocols. He pressed a sequence of controls. The air around the paradox engine shimmered like heat waves rising from summer pavement. Reality itself seemed to bend and twist as the device manipulated the fabric of space-time. 2 new team members had joined their secret project. Ginwoo was a young engineering prodigy who had been working on miniaturization technology. His brilliant mind grasped the paradox engines principles faster than anyone expected. We can make it smaller, Ginwoo announced after studying the device for a week. Much smaller. Small enough to fit on a ship, or even in a fighter craft. Subin, the quantum mechanics expert, helped solve the stability problems that had plagued. Their early tests, her understanding of quantum field theory, allowed her to predict and prevent the dangerous energy cascades that could destroy the device. The key is balancing the Valkyrie quantum principles with human engineering flexibility, Subin explained. Their technology is rigid and predictable. Ours adapts and evolves. Working together, the team achieved something neither species had, managed alone. The paradox engine was not just a weapon. It was a revolutionary technology that could reshape how humans traveled through space and defended themselves. Barham had been busy too. Using her security clearances, she had quietly acquired mining ships that were scheduled for decommission. These vessels were old and unremarkable, perfect for secret testing in the outer reaches of the solar system. The Valkyrie are still watching us, she reported during one of their midnight meetings. But they only monitor the main station. They ignore the mining operations. Perfect, Dong-Su said. We'll test the paradox engine where they can't see us. The first deep space test took place near the asteroid belt, far from any prying sensors. The modified mining ship Prosperity carried the prototype paradox engine in its cargo hold. Crew consisted only of their secret team, each member sworn to absolute secrecy. Beginning power-up sequence, Nari announced from the ship's control center, all systems showing green. The paradox engine hummed to life. Unlike the violent energy of the Aurora cannon, this power felt controlled and purposeful. Matrices aligned perfectly, creating stable fields that warped space-time around the device. First test target acquired, Ginwoo reported. Asteroid designated Alpha 7, distance 2,000 kilometers. Activating phase shift beam, Subin called out. The paradox engine fired, but not with the explosive plasma of traditional weapons. Instead, it projected a field of twisted space-time that enveloped the distant asteroid. For a moment, the rocky mass seemed to flicker between dimensions, then it vanished completely. Target eliminated, Borum announced, her voice filled with awe. But the sensors show no debris, no energy signature. It's just gone. Phase shifted out of normal space, Subin explained. The asteroid still exists, but in a parallel dimension where it can't interact with our reality. The team stared at their instruments in amazement. They had created a weapon that could erase targets from existence without leaving a trace. But that was only the beginning of the Paradox engine's capabilities. "Let's try the temporal distortion," Field Dong-Su suggested. The next test target was a larger asteroid, one that rotated slowly through space. The Paradox engine fired again, this time creating a localized time distortion around the rock. The asteroid's rotation slowed, then stopped completely. "Time has stopped moving normally inside that field," Nari observed. "The asteroid is trapped in a temporal bubble." "And the wormhole generator?" Ginwu asked eagerly. The third test was the most ambitious. The Paradox engine created a small wormhole, a tunnel through space-time itself. The portal was tiny, barely large enough for a probe to pass through, but it connected 2 points in space that were light years apart. "We did it," Dong-Su breathed. "We actually created a stable wormhole." The implications were staggering. The Paradox engine was not just a defensive weapon. It was a technology that could revolutionize space travel, allowing ships to cross vast distances instantly. Over the following weeks, they conducted more secret tests. Each experiment revealed new capabilities. The Paradox engine could create protective barriers by folding space around a ship. It could accelerate objects to incredible speeds by manipulating time flow. It could even generate perfect cloaking, fields that made ships invisible to any known sensor. "The Valkyrie have similar technology," Taman observed during one of their planning sessions. But their version is limited by rigid thinking. They use quantum manipulation for specific purposes. Only. "While we're finding new applications every day," Nari added. "Human creativity combined with their quantum principles creates possibilities they never imagined." Subin had been analyzing intercepted Valkyrie communications using the alien code fragments. What she discovered was both encouraging and terrifying. "They have been doing this for thousands of years," she reported. "Sabotaging younger species to keep them weak. We're not their first victims? How many civilizations have they suppressed?" Bioram asked. "Dozens? Maybe hundreds?" "The Velkai Empire maintains power by preventing other species from reaching their true potential." Revelation filled the team with determination. They were not just developing technology to protect Earth, they were creating tools that could free other species from Valkyrie oppression. Ginwu had successfully miniaturized the Paradox engine. The new version was small enough to install in fighter craft or even personal suits. "We can mass-produce these," he announced. "Turn every human ship into a weapon that surpasses anything." "The Valkyrie have. But we need to be careful," Dong-Su warned. "If they discover what we're doing too early, they might take direct action against Earth." Bioram had been thinking about that problem. "We need to build a network of hidden platforms throughout the solar system, disguise them as failed Aurora. Cannon components being recycled." It was a brilliant plan. The Valkyrie would see worthless wreckage being moved around the system. They would never suspect that each piece was actually a component of humanity's new defense network. The team began working around the clock. They used the mining ships to transport Paradox engine components to secret locations throughout the solar system. Each platform was designed to look like space junk, while containing enough power to phase shift entire fleets out of existence. Nari served as the network coordinator, linking all the platforms through quantum communication channels that the Valkyrie could not detect or intercept. The system was elegant in its simplicity and devastating in its potential. As the hidden defense network took shape, the team received disturbing news from Subin's intelligence work. The Velkar were growing impatient with their plan for Earth. "They're preparing for direct contact," she announced, during an emergency meeting. "High Commander Thexfer wants to begin negotiations within the next month." "Negotiations?" Dong-Su asked. "More like demands. Plan to present themselves as benevolent protectors while forcing humanity to accept their guidance. It's the same pattern they've used on other worlds." The team realized they were running out of time. Soon the Valkyrie would reveal themselves to Earth's governments. The aliens would offer protection in exchange for submission and some human. Leaders might be tempted to accept, but humanity would not be defenseless when that day came. The Paradox engine network was almost complete. Hidden platforms surrounded Earth, Mars, and the major shipping lanes of the solar system. Each one contained enough power to erase alien warships from existence. The Valkyrie sabotage that was meant to cripple human development had instead created the most advanced defense system in the galaxy. Soon, the aliens would learn the true meaning of their mistake. The day humanity learned they were not alone started like any other. Children went to school on Earth while their parents worked in offices and factories. Ships carried cargo between the planets. Scientists studied the stars, never knowing that alien eyes had been watching them for decades. Then the sky changed. Massive ships appeared above Earth's major cities. They materialized out of nothing, their sleek hulls gleaming with advanced technology. Each vessel was larger than the biggest human space station, drifting silently through the atmosphere like metal clouds. People stopped in the streets and pointed at the sky. Traffic came to a halt as drivers stared upward in amazement. News cameras turned toward the heavens, broadcasting the incredible sight to billions of shocked viewers. High Commander That's Verse stood on the bridge of his flagship, looking down at the primitive world below. The time for hiding was over. Valkyrie would now reveal themselves as Earth's new protectors and guides. Open communication channels to all human governments, he commanded his officers. It is time to make our offer. The message that followed was broadcast simultaneously. To every nation on Earth, this alien face appeared on screens around the world, his 6 arms moving gracefully as he spoke in perfect human languages. People of Earth, he began, his voice carrying the authority of someone who had conquered many worlds. We are the Valkyrie Empire. We have watched your development with great interest and concern. Leaders in government buildings leaned forward in their chairs. Military commanders reached for emergency communication devices. Scientists grabbed notepads to record every word. Your species shows promise, Backfired continued. But you have reached a dangerous point in your development. Your recent weapons experiments prove that you need guidance before you destroy yourselves. The alien commander was referring to the Aurora cannon disaster, though he did not mention it directly. To him, the explosion proved that humans could not handle advanced technology safely. We offer you our protection and wisdom, Backfired announced. Accept our guidance, and we will help you build a peaceful future among the stars. Refuse, and you will face the same fate as other species who chose the path of aggression. The message ended, but the ships remained. Silent reminders of alien power hanging over humanity's cities like swords ready to fall. In government buildings around the world, emergency meetings began immediately. Presidents and prime ministers huddled with their advisors, trying to decide how to respond to the alien ultimatum. They seem peaceful, argued the Secretary General of the United Nations. Maybe we should listen to what they have to offer. Peaceful? Replied General Hay1, who had joined the emergency session by video link from the military headquarters on Luna. They threatened us in the same breath as offering protection. It's not peace. That's conquest disguised as charity. Raged for hours. Some leaders wanted to negotiate with the aliens immediately. Others demanded that Earth reject any foreign interference. A few suggested that humanity had no choice but to submit to obviously superior technology. General Hay1 had heard enough. During a break in the discussions, she contacted her most trusted security chief. Borum, she said over a secure channel. I need to know if we have any options besides surrender or suicide. Borum was waiting for the call. She had prepared for this moment during the months of secret work on Titan's Edge. General, I need to show you something that will change everything. Can you come to the station immediately? Is it worth risking a war with aliens who could destroy our cities? General, it might be the only way to avoid that war. 3 hours later, General Hay1 arrived at Titan's Edge aboard a fast military transport. Borum met her at the docking bay, along with Dong-Su and the rest of the secret team. It's better be good, the general said as they walked through the station's corridors. Half the world wants to surrender to those aliens, and the other half wants to fight them with weapons that obviously don't work. About those weapons, Dong-Su said quietly. The Aurora cannon didn't fail because of human error. He led the general to the hidden workshop where the Paradox engine prototype hummed with contained power. The device was beautiful in its alien elegance, crystalline matrices spinning slowly as they manipulated space-time itself. What am I looking at? General Hay1 asked. The future, Nari replied. The Aurora cannon was sabotaged by the Valkyrie, but their sabotage accidentally taught us how to build something far more advanced than anything they have. Taman stepped forward with a datapad showing decoded alien communications. The Valkyrie have been suppressing younger species for thousands of years. They sabotage our technology, then offer to protect us from threats they created. Protection racket on a galactic scale, Subin added, to keep other civilizations weak and dependent while maintaining their own power. General Hay-1 studied the alien text, even though she could not read it. You're telling me that these peaceful protectors are actually galactic bullies? Worse than that, Bioram said. They're planning to turn humanity into slaves? Their offer of guidance is really a demand for complete submission. The general looked around the workshop, taking in the advanced technology that her own people had created. And this machine can fight them. This machine can do things that would make their commanders wet themselves, Jinwoo said with a grin. We've been testing it for months. Want to see a demonstration? They led General Hay-1 to an observation window overlooking empty space. A piece of old station debris floated in the distance, left over from the Aurora cannon explosion. Watch that piece of metal, Dong-Su said, as he activated the Paradox engine's targeting system.
Ow.
The device fired, but there was no visible beam or explosion. The debris simply ceased to exist, erased from reality by a phase shift field that moved it into a parallel dimension. Where did it go? The general asked. Somewhere else, Nari replied. Somewhere the Valkyrie can't follow. The Paradox engine created a temporal distortion field that made space itself ripple like water.
Ow.
It opened. A tiny wormhole that could transport objects across vast distances instantly. It generated a cloaking field so perfect that it bent light around empty space. How many of these do we have? General Hay-1 asked when the demonstration ended. Right now, it's just this prototype, Dong-Su admitted. We've been building a network of hidden platforms throughout the solar system. Each one contains a smaller version of this technology. Bioram activated a holographic display showing the positions of their secret weapons. Dozens of platforms surrounded Earth and Mars disguised as space debris and failed equipment. The Valkyrie had been watching humanity prepare its defenses without realizing what they were seeing. You built all this in secret, the general asked in amazement. We had helped, Taman said, indicating the alien code fragments. The Valkyrie accidentally taught us their most advanced principles when they tried to sabotage us. General Hay-1 was quiet for a long moment, processing everything she had learned. Finally, she spoke. What do you need from me? Time Dong-Su replied. And permission to finish what we started. The defense network is almost complete, but we need a few more days to bring all systems online. The world leaders are meeting tomorrow to draft a response to the Valkyrie ultimatum, the general said. Some of them want to accept alien protection. Immediately, and we need to change their minds, Barm suggested. Show them that humanity has options besides submission or destruction. The team explained their plan. Instead of revealing the Paradox engine technology immediately, they would let the negotiations proceed while secretly preparing for the inevitable conflict. The Valkyrie would eventually show their true nature when diplomacy failed to achieve. Quick submission. What about the other species they've suppressed? Subin asked. According to their communications, the Valkyrie have dozens of client worlds providing resources and labor. One problem at a time, General Hay-1 replied. First we protect Earth. Then we can think about liberating the galaxy. New team member joined their group that day. Young-Su was a diplomatic specialist who understood how alien minds might work. His job was to analyze Valkyrie negotiation tactics and predict their next moves. They will start with reasonable requests, Mengsu explained after studying the alien communications. Small demonstrations of submission, restrictions on weapons research, limits on space exploration. Each demand will seem minor, but together they will make humanity completely dependent. How long before they lose patience? General Hay-1 asked. Based on their communications with other species, probably 2 weeks. If humanity hasn't submitted by then, they will demonstrate their power more directly. The team used those 2 weeks wisely. Working around the clock, they completed the hidden defense network and tested every system multiple times. A paradox. Engine platforms were linked through quantum communication channels that could coordinate their attacks instantly. Meanwhile, the public negotiations continued. The Valkyrie presented themselves as wise elder siblings, offering to share technology and protect humanity from the dangers of rapid advancement. They spoke of other young species who had accepted their guidance and prospered under Valkyrie protection. They did not mention that those same species were now little more than slaves, providing resources for the Empire, while their own development remained permanently stunted. Human leaders debated endlessly. Some saw the aliens as saviors who could solve Earth's problems. Others recognized the threat hidden behind friendly words. The discussions grew more heated each day as the Valkyrie deadline approached. High Commander HFY grew impatient with human stubbornness. His species had offered the gift of survival, and these primitives dared to debate whether they should accept it. Perhaps a demonstration of Valkyrie power would help them understand their situation better. The alien commander began planning a limited attack that would show humanity the futility of resistance. A few destroyed military bases would convince even the most stubborn human leaders to see reason. He had no idea that his targets were already waiting for him. Deep in the hidden workshops of Titan's Edge, the secret team made their final preparations. The Paradox engine network was ready. Humanity's true response to the Valkyrie ultimatum would not be words. It would be a demonstration of what happened when someone tried to sabotage human ingenuity. The aliens were about to learn that their greatest mistake was teaching humanity to surpass them. 2 weeks had passed since the Valkyrie revealed themselves to humanity. The negotiations had failed exactly as Mengsu predicted. Earth's leaders refused to accept complete submission, disguised as protection. Some nations wanted to fight. Others hoped for compromise. All of them were about to learn that the aliens had never intended to give them a choice. High Commander HFY stood on his flagship's bridge, watching the blue world that had dared to reject Valkyrie wisdom. His patience was exhausted. The time for gentle persuasion had ended. Deploy the attack fleet, he commanded his officers. 200 ships should be enough to demonstrate our superiority. The alien commander had chosen his targets carefully. 3 military installations on Earth, 2 research stations near Mars, and the stubborn humans' main lunar base. The attacks would cripple Earth's defenses, while leaving most of the population alive to witness Valkyrie power. The humans will surrender within hours, he told his senior staff. Fear is the most effective teacher. But fear was about to become a two-way lesson. On Titan's Edge, the secret team watched their sensors as the Valkyrie fleet moved into attack formation. 200 sleek warships arranged themselves around the solar system like predators surrounding wounded prey. They're beginning their assault, Bioram reported from her command station. First target appears to be the military base on Luna. Dongsu looked around at his friends and allies. Nari sat at the Paradox engine control station, her fingers dancing across holographic displays. Daman monitored alien communications, translating their confident battle chatter. Jinwoo and Subin coordinated with the hidden defense platforms. Scattered throughout the system, General Hay-1 stood beside them, her face grim but determined. Are we ready? The network is fully operational, Nari confirmed. All platforms are online and synchronized. Then let's show them what happens when you try to sabotage human creativity, Dongsu said. The battle began exactly as the Valkyrie expected. Their advanced plasma cannons tore through human defensive ships like paper. Earth's conventional weapons bounced harmlessly off alien shields that could deflect the energy of small stars. On Luna, the military base's defenders fired everything. they had at the approaching enemy vessels. Its missiles exploded uselessly against energy barriers. Laser cannons created pretty light shows but caused no damage. In minutes, half of humanity's lunar fleet was burning wreckage floating in space. Hi. Commander Thexfer watched the destruction with satisfaction. As expected, human technology is centuries behind our capabilities. His tactical officer nodded agreement. The remaining bases will surrender once they see this footage. But something was wrong. The human ships were falling back in good order, not fleeing in panic. The retreat looked almost like they were moving to predetermined positions. "Sir," reported the sensor operator, "I'm detecting some unusual energy readings from the human debris field." "Elaborate." "The destroyed ship components appear to be generating low-level quantum signatures. It's probably nothing, but the pattern seems almost organized." Dexfer dismissed the report with a wave of his hand. Human technology cannot create organized quantum fields. Continue the attack. The Velkari fleet moved deeper into the solar system, confidence growing with each easy victory. They destroyed the research stations near Mars without losing a single ship. Human resistance crumbled before the might of galactic civilization. Then Dongsu gave the activation command. All platforms initiate paradox protocols. Show them what their sabotage really accomplished. Across the solar system, the hidden defense network came alive. What the Valkyrie had dismissed as space debris and failed technology revealed its true nature. Each piece of apparent wreckage contained a miniaturized paradox engine. It's powered by the same hybrid quantum principles that their own sabotage had accidentally created. The effect was immediate and devastating. The first, Valkyrie ship simply vanished. One moment it was firing on a human cargo vessel, the next it had been phase-shifted into a parallel dimension where it could harm no one. The alien crew had just enough time to register confusion before reality folded around them. "What happened?" "To Battle Group 7? Dexter demanded. "Unknown, sir. They just disappeared from all sensors." "Impossible. Our shields can deflect any human weapon." The second group of alien ships found themselves trapped in temporal distortion fields. Time slowed to a crawl around their vessels, making their movements sluggish while human defenders moved at normal speed. Plasma beams that should have fired in milliseconds took minutes to charge, giving human ships time to escape and reposition. "Battle Group 3 is not responding to commands," reported the communications officer. "Their transmissions are coming in extremely slowly." "Sir," the sensor operator called out urgently, "I'm detecting massive quantum distortions throughout. The system, the energy signatures, match nothing in our databases." More Valkyrie ships vanished as the hidden platforms coordinated their attacks. Some were erased from existence by phase-shift weapons. Others found themselves transported across the galaxy through miniature wormholes. A few were simply frozen. In time, their crews trapped in temporal bubbles that would last for centuries. High Commander Thexfer watched his mighty fleet disappear piece by piece, unable to understand what was happening. How are they doing this? Human technology cannot manipulate space-time. Nari answered him from her control station, though he could not hear her words. "You taught us how when you tried to destroy us." The paradox engine network was operating at full efficiency.
Ow.
Each platform contained quantum principles that the Valkyrie had accidentally shared through their sabotage virus. But human creativity had taken those rigid alien concepts and evolved them far beyond their original limitations. Where Valkyrie technology followed strict rules and protocols, human engineering embraced chaos and adaptation. The hybrid systems could do things that pure Valkyrie science considered impossible. Wormholes opened and closed at will, transporting enemy ships to distant parts of the galaxy. Temporal fields created pockets of accelerated time that aged alien hulls to dust in seconds. Phase-shift weapons moved targets into dimensions where physics worked differently. "Battle Group 12 just appeared near the Andromeda Galaxy," reported a confused Velkar officer. "They're requesting emergency assistance." "Battle Group 5 has aged 10,000 years in the last minute," added another. "Their ships are falling apart from temporal decay." High Commander Thexfer realized that his perfect plan had become a nightmare. Retreat. All ships return to formation and prepare for emergency jump to hyperspace. But the human defense network had one more surprise. As the remaining Valkyrie ships tried to flee, wormholes opened directly in their path, instead of leading to safety. These portals transported the alien vessels to predetermined locations where more Paradox engine platforms waited. It was a trap within a trap, and the Valkyrie had walked into it with absolute confidence in their superiority. Within 2 hours, the mighty alien fleet was destroyed or scattered. Only a handful of ships remained, including Nexvor's flagship, which found itself surrounded by spatial distortions that prevented any escape. Dongsu opened a communication channel to the trapped alien commander. "Hi, Commander Vexfer. I believe you wanted to discuss Earth's surrender." The alien leader's face appeared on the screen, his confidence replaced by shock and fear. "How? Your technology was centuries behind ours. Your sabotage taught us new possibilities," Dongsu replied calmly. "Human engineers are very good at learning from our mistakes. And from yours." Taman joined the conversation, speaking in perfect Valkyrie language. "We know about the other species you have suppressed. The client worlds that provide your empire with resources and labor. That ends now. You cannot threaten the Valkyrie Empire," Dexver said, but his voice lacked conviction. "We have thousands of ships, millions of warriors, and we have something you do not," Nari added from her station. "The ability to adapt and evolve. Your rigid thinking makes you predictable. Our creativity makes us dangerous." Subin displayed tactical information showing the locations of other Valkyrie fleets throughout the galaxy. "We've been monitoring your communications for months. We know where your ships are, how they operate, and how to defeat them." The interrogation of High Commander Vexfer revealed the true scope of Valkyrie oppression. For thousands of years, they had maintained galactic dominance by sabotaging younger species and offering protection from threats they had created themselves. Dozens of civilizations existed as little more than slaves, their technological development permanently stunted by Valkyrie intervention. Species that might have become spacefaring powers were instead trapped on their homeworlds, providing resources for their supposed protectors. "The galaxy will know the truth," General Haywan announced, "and they will know that freedom is possible." Over the following months, humanity did exactly what they promised. Using Paradox engine technology, they began liberating the oppressed worlds of the Valkyrie Empire. Each success brought more allies, more resources, and more determination to end galactic tyranny. The hybrid technology that combined human creativity with alien quantum principles proved unstoppable. Ships that could phase between dimensions, weapons that manipulated time itself, and defenses that bent reality around them gave humanity advantages that the rigid Valkyrie could not counter. But the greatest victory was not military, it was philosophical. Humanity proved that cooperation and adaptation were stronger than dominance and control. The species that had been sabotaged became the teachers, showing other civilizations how to break free from artificial limitations. 6 months after the failed Valkyrie attack, Dongsu stood in his new laboratory on Earth. The facility was larger than Titan's Edge, filled with scientists from a dozen different species working together on projects that would have been impossible. Alone, Nari joined him at the observation window overlooking their latest creation. The new ships being built in the orbital yards combined the best ideas from every liberated world. Human adaptability, Valkyrie quantum principles, and innovations from civilizations that had been freed from oppression. "Do you think we'll see them again?" Nari asked, referring to the scattered remnants of the Valkyrie Empire. "Probably," Dongsu replied. "But if they try to sabotage us again, they'll just teach us something new." The Aurora cannon that had been destroyed in that distant explosion was forgotten now. A primitive weapon from humanity's past, the Paradox engine technology that grew from its ashes had changed the galaxy forever. The Valkyrie sabotage that was meant to keep humanity weak had instead accelerated their evolution by centuries. Fear had been replaced by hope. Oppression had given way to liberation. And across the galaxy, species that had been trapped in artificial stagnation began to dream of what they might accomplish when free to reach their true potential. The greatest irony was that the aliens had been right about one thing: humanity had needed guidance to reach the stars safely. They had just never expected that the best teachers would be their own mistakes.